As technological change revolutionizes medicine and healthcare, how do we ensure that nobody, particularly members of vulnerable groups, get left behind? This is the question that companies like MindMed, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, as well as government institutions like the FDA and universities like Johns Hopkins University are trying to answer through collaborating with each other in a forum called the Digital Health Measurement Collaborative Community, or DATAcc. Specifically, the 35 plus members of DATAcc are working together to ensure that the rapid growth of digital medicines follows a trajectory that will ensure that as many people as possible can benefit from this new monitoring technology. But before we get into this video, have you guys heard about our new partnership with Psychedelic Spotlight? Once every other week, we team up to provide you guys with a recap of the biggest events in the psychedelic medicines industry over the past 2 weeks. They are an amazing source of information in the psychedelic medicines field, and we will link our most recent video collaboration at the end of this video, so make sure you check it out. And also don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notifications bell on this video and share it with your mom. Also, tell me down in the comments whether you're excited about this new collaboration. I'm James from the Psychedelic Investor, and enjoy this video. Before we get into the partnership, let's spend a minute defining what is digital medicine. Well, the primary use case of digital medicines comes in the form of measurement. Often, both in the real world and in clinical trial settings, measuring data accurately over a long time frame can be difficult for doctors. For example, when a doctor measures your heart rate or your blood pressure, they're only getting access to the scores in that moment, which can be biased by a number of factors. For example, if you're the type of person that feels fear when you go to see the doctor or go to the hospital, it may throw off certain body variables, certain measurements like your pulse. It would be better for the doctor to have access to information like, what is your average heart rate throughout a regular day, and how often or how much does it change when you're at rest as compared to when you're active? Obviously, as your doctor doesn't follow you around all day, or at least mine doesn't, having access to this info would be quite difficult. Likewise, if you're trying to measure the effectiveness of a mental health care treatment, a therapist only has access to the data provided to them by the patient in that moment, and though the patient may relay how they felt over the past week, often personal recollection can be skewed. It would be better if the therapist had access to data provided on a daily basis by the patient, which again, of course, would be impractical. And obviously these issues are only further compounded when attempting to gather solid data in the long term for a clinical trial, where usually patients aren't monitored 24/7 for the duration of the months-long study. Now, the emerging solution to this measurement problem is using algorithms combined with physical hardware to measure certain health variables throughout the day, every day. One well-known example of digital medicine is the Apple Watch. Built into this tech, there are sensors that can measure your heart rate, sleep quality, and even your blood oxygen levels. Now, this is an example of wearable tech that measures in real time certain bodily variables. But equally important is measuring subjective variables like mood and stress levels in real time. For example, MindMed, as well as other companies like Medicine, are developing apps that potential patients may use daily or even multiple times per day to measure a wide variety of subjective variables. Once this data is compiled, ideally autonomously, therapists will gain more accurate data that shows, for example, what percentage of the day or week a patient with depression is in crisis mode, how often they're doing good, and how often they're just getting by. This will be useful both for therapists in the real world and also to more accurately measure the effects of experimental treatments like LSD therapy in a clinical setting. Now, all of this sounds great, but getting back to the question that launched this video off in the first place, as digital medicines continue to evolve and become more widespread, how do we ensure that certain segments of the population don't get left behind in this digital medicines revolution? For example, not everybody can afford an Apple Watch to read their heart rates, so how can we ensure that the less fortunate have the same access to the next generation of medicine like the rest of the population? This current collaboration, the DATAcc, while being in its early stages, is attempting to answer such questions. To be clear, the members of this forum are not teaming up to jointly create a product, but rather they are working together to write the ground rules that will govern how digital medicines are used and deployed. DATAcc describes this type of collaboration as quote-unquote pre-competitive, meaning once the ground rules are agreed upon, each unique institution will be free to create, market, and sell their own solutions, competing with each other. And as long as each company has the proper goals and they are operating under the agreed upon ground rules, the competition of ideas should hopefully result in the best solutions coming forward. If we look at the DATAcc website, we see that their vision is to, quote, achieve the promise of digital health measurement to improve lives for everyone. Their mission is to use interdisciplinary expertise, data, and use cases to develop and demonstrate best practices and advance harmonized approaches to speed the use of digital health measurement to improve health outcomes, health economics, and health equity. And their goals are to convene the many stakeholders necessary to establish and implement a shared vision of high-quality digital health measurement, such that it is equally accessible to and effective for every person. This will require focused and persistent pursuit of fostering a diverse and inclusive community of experts in pursuit of their mission, establishing global best practices for successfully developing and deploying digital health measurement, supporting the advancement of regulatory science and commercial practices that foster success in the real world at scale, and optimizing the person-centered use of digital health measurement across contexts of use and wherever it can do the most good for all people. Now, this is all well and good, but despite such lofty aspirations, the members of the DATAcc are still at the very beginning of their collaboration. At the moment, they have two immediate project goals for the next several months. They are, 1. To ensure that a broad spectrum of diverse voices, for example different races, ethnicities, people with disabilities, all ages, genders, geographies, socioeconomic status, education levels, health status, and sexual orientations, are included in each stage of the product development lifecycle so that diverse populations can utilize and benefit from digital health measurement. And 2. To standardize the evaluation of inclusivity in the development, deployment, and commercialization of digital health measurements across contexts of uses. Or, in other words, they want to set up the ground rules for how the ground rules will be decided upon. When creating these systems, they want to ensure that diverse voices contribute so that the final products don't have some glaring inclusivity issues, and they want to have the tools to measure how inclusive these processes are. Now, as a MindMed investor, the main takeaway that I have from this collaboration is the fact that MindMed was included at all. In this forum, there are some heavy hitters of the pharmaceuticals world, like Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Philips Healthcare, as well as leading next-generation digital medicines companies, such as Teladoc Health. Though MindMed won't necessarily gain anything material from this collaboration, at least right away, other than potentially some benefits from helping write the rules, being included with the big boys can only be positive. I see a few potential benefits. First, there may be some sort of network effects of just being in the same room with these leading companies. Building these relations may pay off in some intangible way in the future. For example, if MindMed decides that they want an establishment pharma partner to help bring a medicine to market in the future, say, 18MC, having relationships with these pharma giants in forums like this may pay off. Second, if this collaborative community is successful in writing the rules for digital health measurement technologies, it will also bestow upon MindMed some institutional legitimacy, which is essential for companies in the psychedelic medicine space, as they are often still viewed as fringe. Third, it is possible that through this initial phase of collaboration, MindMed may decide to deepen ties with an institution or two and build their digital technologies together. Finally, MindMed has made it known that long-term they intend to be viewed as much a tech company as they are a healthcare company. It is possible that in collaborating with other medicine tech companies that MindMed can learn skills or facilitate some sort of technology sharing, even if on an informal level, though to be clear, I don't know how likely this is, if at all. All in all, I would label this development as something that doesn't necessarily have much short-term impact on MindMed, but if everything goes well and if MindMed plays their cards right, there is some potential for this forum to pay long-term dividends to the company. But what do you think about this partnership? Is it something to be excited about? Or is this just a big fat nothing burger? Let me know down in the comment section. And if you want to listen to the biggest updates in the psychedelic medicine sector of the past couple weeks, listen to the Psychedelic Spotlight video you see on your screen now, or check out this other great video. I'm James from the Psychedelic Investor. I'll see you next time.